It's interesting how sometimes we feel compelled to do things out of a habit, things we don't enjoy anymore. In fact, it's if our mind has its own automatic patterns, like a script it follows, because the mind is deeply powerful. You probably noticed habits that can sometimes feel like they happen on their own, right? Almost as if something in the back of your mind is pulling the strings, guiding your actions. Yet, when you really think about it, you realize you have the ability to change this script. And you can begin to wonder, what if I could simply stop reacting to those old habits? Like I could shift my perspective and just notice the old patterns without feeling the urge to follow it anymore. It's as though these are the old invisible cues around you. Stress, boredom, temptation. When those cues arise, your mind remembers a script and it says, sweet food is what will help. You might have felt it before, this automatic craving, even though deep inside you know you don't really want it. It's simply a reaction, a response based on years of conditioning and nothing more. Think about this. What if just for a moment you could see the same situation from a completely different angle? Imagine it. You're in a situation where boredom or stress or temptation arises, and instead of feeling that pull to eat, you observe it. You just notice it, and notice how you feel about it. And you can decide right then and there that you're no longer bound by the old triggers, because you can choose to respond in a new way. In fact, your mind is incredibly resourceful. It's always seeking the quickest path. But when you open up to the idea, those habits, they don't have to control you, then the mind shifts naturally into a space where it learns new, empowering patterns. They're even more useful. Isn't it true? You're the one who creates your experience, with every choice you make. Let me ask you, what if every time you were bored or stressed or tempted, your mind automatically reached for something that nurtures and energizes you, instead of pulling you into the same old habit? Maybe it could be something refreshing, something uplifting, a simple choice that feels good, that feels like the right answer. And as you make that choice, your mind and body starts to realize, hey, I feel better when I make this choice. Not only in the moment, but even after. It's like I've discovered a secret passage to feeling great. And just like that, with every moment, your mind starts to associate these new choices with how you want to feel, calm, centered, and at peace. Isn't it amazing how your mind begins to create new connections, as if it knows this is a much better way to feel? Your mind is already powerful. It's so incredibly adaptable. Just like how, when you're driving somewhere, you can take a different route without even thinking twice. It's like the idea of a habit can change so easily, because you're in control of the process. You're the one who directs it. And in the same way, it can be easy to imagine a scenario where you feel the pull to have something sweet and notice how it feels. And instead of moving through that feeling like you always have, you can relax and just allow that feeling to pass by, almost like a cloud in the sky, watching it come and knowing it will drift away on its own. You don't have to hold on to it. It's just a passing feeling, and you can release it with ease. And when you do that, it's like you're free. You start to notice how calm you feel, without the need for sweets to fill any gap. And just like that, in moments when you may have once felt bored, stressed, or tempted, you simply don't need the same response anymore. Instead, you begin to do something else, something even more enjoyable, something that truly satisfies you. Maybe it's going for a walk, or finding something you love doing, or simply breathing deeply in and letting your body relax. You've already begun the process, and the more you realize you're in charge of these decisions, the more you can guide your choices in ways that nourish your body and mind. It's a gentle process, one that happens naturally, because you have already got all the resources within you to make this change. You've always had them. And as you continue to make these new, healthier choices, they become even more automatic. It's almost like they begin to replace those old, unwanted habits. Every time you decide to follow this new path, it becomes easier and easier. And soon you'll notice sweet foods, they no longer have the same hold on you. In fact, it's almost as though your mind has already moved on. And now, without even trying. You simply no longer crave the things like you used to. And in that moment, when you realize this, you can appreciate how powerful you really are. Because you're the one in charge of every decision you make. And that's a belief that grows stronger every day, doesn't it? It's a belief that takes root and expands quietly and naturally. Every choice you make moves you in the direction of what you truly want: peace, calm, satisfaction, and freedom from old habits. Every day is another chance to reinforce that new, empowering belief that you are in control of your habits, and you can shape them however you choose. So now notice how it feels to imagine your life without the pull towards sweets. Feel what the freedom is like, and let your mind continue to guide you towards even more satisfying choices that fit perfectly in with who you're becoming. Isn't that just the most liberating thing that you can feel? And as you hear these words, you might already begin to notice something interesting, something shifting, like an invisible current gently moving beneath the surface of your thoughts. So your mind is always evolving, just like how a river naturally carves its own path through the landscape. Your thoughts and behaviours, they're constantly flowing and reshaping effortlessly. And perhaps, just perhaps, it's time for a new path to emerge. A path where old cravings, they no longer have the same power over you. Imagine for a moment, if you will, a feeling of lightness, as if you were walking down a path, surrounded by the freshest air, clear skies and soft gentle steps. You can almost sense, as you move along this new path, something within you has already begun to change. Maybe you can remember a time when sweets were appealing, and even though they seemed irresistible, now you can begin to notice how unimportant they truly are, like an old item that no longer fits or serves you. And with that, the idea of indulging in something sweet, it doesn't hold the same fascination anymore. The more you relax, the more you begin to notice all these habits, those automatic, instinctual reactions. They're simply based on old memories, older associations that no longer have a hold on you. It's almost like a shadow that once seemed so real. But when you shine the light on it, you see it dissolves, leaving only clarity and peace. And that peace is something your mind is getting more familiar with. As you become more aware, every time you reach for something, anything, and it's no longer about a habit or unconscious drive, but about true choice. Every time you find yourself in a situation where you'd once have automatically reached for sweets, you begin to realize something inside you knows there's another way, a better, more fulfilling way. And with each new moment, that knowledge strengthens. Perhaps you begin to see the old feeling of being tempted was simply an echo of something past, a faint suggestion that has no power in the present. It's almost like a song you used to listen to, but now, when it plays, you begin to notice you don't even want to sing along anymore. There's something so much richer just waiting for you, something that not only satisfies you, but fills you with a sense of real contentment. As you explore this new sense of freedom, you can start to notice your body, it naturally craves what nourishes it, what gives it energy, what makes you feel alive. You don't need to think about it too hard. It's almost like your body, your mind, they've begun to work in harmony. With every choice you make, reinforcing a new, empowering belief that you're the one who guides this experience. You're the one who holds the reins. And as you feel this connection, you realize just how simple it can be to choose what truly serves you. So let's take a moment to reflect on those habits that once seemed so strong. Habits of reaching for sweet foods when you are stressed or bored or tempted. What happens now as you think of these moments? It's almost as if those old habits, they're beginning to feel like distant memories. You might even begin to notice, in those situations, the pull towards sweets simply isn't there anymore. Instead, there's a space for something new, something that feels better. It could be the feeling of lightness, a sense of calm, a way of responding that brings you peace instead of reaction. And that's something your mind loves to do: adapt, shift, and thrive in new ways. And it's interesting to think about how, when you step back and look at your choices, you realize you've always had the power to choose, to decide. Isn't that the key? To recognize you're in charge of the direction that you're heading. No matter the circumstances, you can now choose differently. You have the ability to respond in a way that feels good, empowering, satisfying and natural. It's almost like having remote control for your thoughts, where you can simply press a button and shift the channel to something that brings you more joy, more comfort and more peace. And what's fascinating too is how your mind is already starting to put these new choices into place. Every time you choose to let go of an old craving, your mind registers it as a victory, a simple, natural victory. It's almost like a muscle that strengthens every time you make that decision. And over time, you begin to notice it gets easier and easier, and it just feels right. Now let's reflect on what your body and mind are teaching you in this moment. You're not just changing the act of eating sweets, you're changing how you relate to your own experience. You're learning that stress, boredom, or temptation, they don't have to control you. Instead, you have the ability to step into a new way of being, a new rhythm where you're relaxed, in control, and more connected with what truly serves you. And as you begin to step into this space, you might even begin to notice, even when the old triggers arise, they no longer carry the same weight. They come and then they pass, like clouds in the sky, or like a fleeting memory. And with each passing moment, you begin to realize this way of being is becoming more automatic. It's like your mind is already reprogramming itself, gently and naturally. So you don't have to think twice about it. You simply choose, and your choice feels right. It feels in alignment with the person you're becoming. You can already begin to imagine yourself in situations where you once felt the pull towards something sweet. As you picture that, you can realize you can easily, effortlessly shift your focus to something that feels so much better. A choice that nourishes, that energizes, that satisfies in ways the old habits never could. And this shift is happening in the background of your mind. You don't even have to force it, it just happens. And with each new choice, you continue to build on the new belief, the new understanding that you are in control, that you have the power to shape your habits, to shape your life in ways that bring true satisfaction. You can sense how your mind, your body, and your heart, they're all aligned with you in a new way of being. The more you trust the process, the more you allow it to unfold, the better, the easier it gets.